What's going on, guys? What is going on? How is everybody doing? What's going on, my lifers? Good to see everybody here already. Good to see everybody already coming in. Wait a few minutes, let everybody come into the room. I'll take these off for a second. We'll wait till we get to that portion. We will wait till we get to the call-in portion. What's going on, HCD? It has been a minute, brother. Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you in the chat. MKT, what is going on, man? Good to see you in here as well. Michelle M, good to see you in here. A bunch of waves. We're going to wave at you too, Michelle. Good to see you here. All right, everybody seems to be coming in. As you guys come in, please help your boy out. Like the video, please. Give me a thumbs up. It's free. The thumbs ups are free. Anthony Morris paid for all the thumbs up when he went on that liquor run. So he paid for $900 worth of thumbs up. What's up, XJW Survivor? She says, I have a feeling tonight's show will be on and popping. It's gonna be something. I agree with you. What's up, Nelson Seals? Big up from Atlanta. What's going on, man? I just left Atlanta. Just got back from Atlanta. What's going on, Exclusive Princess? How are you and the girls doing? Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you guys coming in here. Let's get in here, guys. Good to see you in here. Hope everybody had a great day. It's been a pretty cool day here in the Ville. Here in Nashville, it's raring up. Getting busier and busier. As you may or may not know, next week the NFL draft is going to be here in Nashville. So there are a whole bunch of people coming into Nashville. It's getting busy in here. It is getting busy in here. Nelson Seal says, what you sipping on? Water. No wine today, man. No wine today. That is straight H2O. JW Suicides, good to see you in the chat. Just don't tell me I have to put my thumbs up at Tony's bum. Somebody need to do something with that crazy dude, man. Dirty Bird, what's going on? Hey to you as well, Dirty Bird. Good to see you in the chat. BA Watchtower Education. I don't believe I've seen you in the chat before. It is good to see you. Thanks for coming through. Hello to you also. Hello to you also. Good to see you here. HCD. Memorial Scotch Tap for K Fitz. Don't forget Susan Morris recommends kicking back with a Jameson. Tony holds his liquor a different way. What's up, HCD? What's up, Red Boy? Good to see you in here. Good to see you in here, my brother. Good to see you guys. Come on up in here, people. Come on up in here. Daniel B, what's going on? Good evening to you as well, brother. Daniel Brown. Good to see you in here. What's up, Aramis? Good to see you in here too, my brother. As usual. Oh yeah, we getting in here. We trying to get in here heavy tonight. I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of people with stories to tell tonight. It's gonna be a trip, man. Start talking about this crazy shit. What's going on, Cynthia? Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you in here. What's going on, Monica? Monica Landrum. Good to see you in here as well. Either Landrum or Landrum. Either way, hello. Good to see you. Seems like a bunch of new people tonight. I appreciate it. It's gonna make the conversation even better to have some new faces in here, some new my lifers. People in here living their lives like I'm living my life, which makes us all my lifers. Yes, man. Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. Let's get in here. Let's get in here heavy. So yeah, I just got back to the house. Out doing a little bit of Ubering today. I was supposed to go help my aunt measure her shed, and I ended up getting one. I said, well, I'll be on my way. I'm going to get this one last run. Ended up being an hour drive away to Murfreesboro. So then I had to drive back from Murfreesboro in rush hour traffic. So I ended up getting back just in time to do the show tonight, and I could not miss this one because I'm sure this one is going to be interesting and help a whole lot of people, because I'm sure we all have a lot to talk about on this topic. Talking about how we were disfellowshipped and how it made you feel. Now, I don't know, there may be some people here in the chat that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, or have never been called into what we used to call the little room or the back room to talk to the elders. But that shit happened to me. It happened to me. And at the time I was still married, so it happened to her too. And we will talk about that tonight. We will get into it tonight. Y'all know me, I am an open book. I share my stories. I tell my tales. So I will regale you with what happened in that situation. And I hope you guys can regale all of us with yours as well. Not only what happened, but how we've moved past what happened. Because as I always say, my channel is not only about being a Jehovah's Witness, but about how we can move forward and live amazing lives after leaving the organization. That is the most important part to me, is moving past, moving forward, and healing after being a part of that ominous organization. Because they took a lot from us, man. They took a lot from us. A lot of time, energy. We all know that, but it is time to move forward. It is time to be better people. It is time to heal from that shit, man. So let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. So yeah, it is pouring down out here. Hopefully, everybody, we can just settle in and have a nice discussion as we always do. We'll wait till we get about 3 more people in here, get a good 20 people going, and then we'll start starting the conversation. We'll wait till we get between 16 and 20, somewhere in there. Because you know how it always happens. Once we start talking, everybody starts coming in. So we'll wait. Make sure that everybody can get in here and we can help as many people as possible. What's going on, Nikki T? It is good to see you. Jumanji the Pharisee says exactly 2019 year text is move forward. Really? Man, I haven't seen one of those books in years. Textbook. MKT says, I'll try to call if I can get a break from the fam. Do what you do, Key. Do what you do, MKT. But we will look forward to hearing from you, brother. HCD says, that's a drive from Nashville to Murfreesboro. Yeah. Yeah, HCD. I was born and raised in Nashville, man. Born and raised in Nashville. I was considering moving once. I did what do they call it when you're a teacher, like at a university? Starts with an A. It's an ABBA. Anyway, it'll come to me when it doesn't matter. But I taught at a studio in adjunct at a performing arts school in Louisiana for a while, and considered moving there. I was there for almost a year, but it didn't work out. It ended up being one of the worst experiences ever. So I said, yeah, that's all right. And then, of course, we talked about yesterday the horrible experience in Atlanta. So, yeah, I will not be moving to Atlanta. So I'll be here in Nashville for a while. I will be here for a while unless I can move to Africa. That would be the only thing that would get me out of here. What's up, 1111-007? What's up, Totally Faded? Good to see you in here. All right, so let's get it popping, guys. So how were you disfellowshipped? How did the questions make you feel? Now, I know most of us know what it's like when you're disfellowshipped. The process of being disfellowshipped. Now, hold on. Before we get started, HCD has a question. Speaking of the NFL and the draft, our old Chicago Bears moved down to Nashville with his wife after they cut him. I'd love to visit one day. I didn't know. I don't, just so you know, I don't watch sports. I don't even have a TV because I'm very rarely even home because I'm super busy. So, yeah, I don't know anything about that. But thanks for sharing, HCD. But I don't know anything about any of the sports people, really, because I don't watch it. So, there's a lot of talk about how the elders in the organization ask all these questions of people who are being disfellowshipped, especially if your disfellowshipping involves some form of sex. They'll really get into the questions, and a lot of people have said it seems like these dudes are getting off on asking all these crazy questions. And I can say from experience that yes, they do ask a bunch of crazy questions. And I remember thinking when I was going through that process, why the hell do you need to know that? Why the hell are you asking these questions? I thought it was a bit ridiculous. I thought it was a bit unnecessary. But it's so funny because at that time, you know, when you're in, you somehow justify the need to answer those questions. Whereas now, if someone were to ask me something that I thought was none of their business, I would straight out say that's none of your business. But at that time, I answered, but I still was free enough mentally to not give them the details they wanted. So let me tell you what happened in my situation. You know how I am. It's about story time. I don't know if any of you guys watch the TV show American Gods. It's one of my favorite shows. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I watch that show all the time on the internet. I'll just check it after it's been played. There's one character called Anansi. He is the African spider god, and he's a storyteller. Every time he gets ready to talk, he always says, "Hey, it's time for a story." It's time for a story. What's up, Cleo Banks? Good to see you in the chat, beautiful. Good to see you in the chat, beautiful. Not your witness. Not your witness. Good to see you in the chat. What's going on? So here's what happened in my case. Here's what happened in my story. Now, of course, Dirty Bird says, "Yay, story time again." I'll tell my story, and then not hopefully, you guys will call in and share some of yours. The call-in number, as usual, is 615-412-9335. 615-412-9335. I'll put that back up on the screen after I finish telling my story. Nikki T says, "Elders make their decision before you enter the back room, so you pretty much have to stroke their ego, while they stroke their penis to get your way. It's all a game." Cynthia says, "Isn't it weird how we think we have to tell all?" Yup. All right. So at the time that this happened with me, I was married. Okay. Now, me and my wife at the time were very young. I was 19, she was 20 when we had our daughter. And when she was pregnant with our daughter, me and her mother, we started getting along really well in the beginning. Me and her mom were really close. But I think the more we were together, I think that, you know what, I'm just gonna say this shit. I think that she started to get a little jealous of how good of a person I was with her daughter, and her relationship with her husband was not good. So I feel like there were some things that happened that were the result of a little bit of jealousy. And I think it happens more often than not, especially when it's a situation with a mother and a daughter. And I think innately there's a little bit of competition. So anyway, the first argument that me and my wife at the time, my ex-wife, had was a result of her mother. We hadn't had any arguments until this one day. And I'm just paraphrasing, I'm telling the story. But I think we were still teenagers. We hadn't even gotten married yet. And we were exchanging gifts, I think, for like our 1 year boyfriend-girlfriend anniversary. And I think I worked at the movie theater at that time. I'm like 16, 17. And I didn't have no money. I was broke. What's up, Lamb Rack? What's up, Ray? And so I'm really going, I don't know if you guys remember the store called Service Merchandise. They're not even around anymore. But there was a store called Service Merchandise. And I went to Service Merchandise and I got this little ring. It's a little ring with 3 little stones in it. I think it cost me $150. It was, it was cheap, but I mean, for a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, however old I was. What's up, Andrew D? What's up, Ray? That was a lot of money for me back then, And she bought me a Sega Genesis. I was way into games, but I had a job, so I had to work for anything I wanted because my parents really weren't trying to buy me that much stuff at that age. I had to work for what I had. So her mom had a lot more money than I did, so she had access to a lot more money than I did. I think a Sega Genesis back then was like $200 something, $200 or $300 maybe. I don't know, maybe $200. And so my gift was like $150. Her gift was like $200 or something like that. And so I gave her the ring. She gave me the Sega. And, we had a nice little exchange. And so then she went home and showed her mom the ring. And her mom and her mom's friend were there. And they started making fun of the ring that I got her. They were like, what is this little cheap ring? What is this all about? And then I remember my ex called me, and I could hear them in the background laughing at the gift I bought her. Literally like cracking up and making fun of this gift that I had gotten. And it was from my heart. It was literally like my whole check. And they were in the background laughing and just making fun of me. And I was thinking, man, what is this? And so I remember, she came back to my house and she was like, yeah, she gave it back to me. And she was like, you can just keep the Sega Genesis. It's all right. And I said, but you giving me back this ring? And she was like, yeah. I said, well, if you give me back this ring, I don't even want the Sega Genesis. So I boxed it up and gave it back to her. I was like, I don't even want it. You can go ahead and go home. And so that was our first big fight. And for the most part, a lot of the things that we argued about were as a result of her mother's interference in our relationship. So when our daughter came along, me and her mama really didn't like each other at all at this point. Really, I did not care for her mother at all. And so I was working somewhere, and I was not, as I said before, I was not the best husband either. I'm not going to try to say I was just all this, but I was ninth fucking teen. I didn't know how to do anything, and I was working in some temp place. And I remember leaving to get ready to go to work that day, and she was up. And then normally I would go to work at like 6 a.m, and she was never up. But this day she was up, and so I'm thinking, why are you up for? And she just was giving me this weird look. She was pregnant, real pregnant, like about to give birth, pregnant. And I said, all right, well, I'm about to go. I said, you gonna be here when I get back? And she was like, yeah. So I come back from work, apartment's empty. The apartment is empty. And so they had moved out. Her and her mom came and got her and moved her out, while I was at work. So fast forward a little bit. She was in the hospital about to give birth. Gave birth. And she wanted to stay with her mom so her mom could help her with the baby or whatever. So she was at her mom's house, and her mom wouldn't let me come over to see the baby at all. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I just had a daughter. I want to come see my daughter too. And I was like, can I come over and see the baby? And she would always be like, no, not today. I'll think about it. No, I'll think about it. And so I kept asking. They would never let me come over there. And so even back then, we were about to split up. We were about to get divorced way back then at like 19 and 20. So I went home, and we had just talked about getting divorced that week or something like that. So I'm thinking, all right, well, it's over, whatever. I'm by myself at the house all the time. And so I remember there was some girl that I had gone to high school with, and we just ran into each other at a video store. We were just talking, and we had kind of been cool in high school. Well, we ended up, she came by because I was still living by myself at that time because I couldn't go see, her or my daughter. So we ended up having sex at the house. And I eventually told her what happened, and we ended up reconciling after all that happened. Fast forward a few years, we during the course of this marriage, we separated probably 3 or 4 times. And so after that last time, I said, if we ever separate again, it's a wrap out. We won't get back together because I'm sick of doing this. So the time before we got together again for the last time, we had split up. And I told her I didn't want to be married anymore. I had a $10,000 recording studio in my home, and I had talked to my parents. I said, "Hey, I just feel like we shouldn't be together. I don't think this is going to work out." And my parents said, "Well, you should talk to her. Tell her how you feel." And I said, "Okay." So I went home. I said, I just feel like we should go ahead and end this. I don't feel like I should be married to you anymore. I feel like we should just end it." And so she said, if I can't have my marriage, you can't have your recording studio. So she went into the studio and just destroyed all the equipment, literally $10,000 worth of equipment. And I walked in and she was throwing mixers on the floor, punching holes in speakers. She took one of the sound modules and started banging and breaking the keyboard with it. And I'm thinking, if I do anything to stop this shit, I'm going to end up being in jail. So I walked out of the house. And I just went for a walk. I said, let me just leave. When I came back, the dumpster was on fire. And I'm thinking, what? I go in the house. All my clothes were in the dumpster. Dumpster just burning. And I'm thinking, what the hell? And so I walked up to her by the dumpster and I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, I said, "What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to prove?" And she said, "Well, you said you wanted to start your life over. I'm giving you the chance. I'm just giving you the chance." And so I'm thinking, okay. So I just walked away again. Came back. She was sitting on the steps. Her hands were all bloody from where she had been punching everything. So I went in the house, got some alcohol, some tissue, and cleaned up all the wounds on her hands. And they were like really open. I said, "You probably need to go get some stitches." And she didn't say anything. She just looked at me. So I walked away and I ended up staying with one of my friends. He was an attorney. He had a really nice house. And I was like, "Dude, can I crash with you for a minute?" He said, "What happened?" Because he was a friend of all of ours. He said, "What happened?" And I said, "Man, this is," I told him what happened. And he drove by the house. And I said, "See, the dumpster was still burning." Like, probably like an hour or two later, the dumpster was still on fire. And he was like, "Damn, dude." I said, "Yeah, man, it was bad. It was bad." He said, "Yeah, you can crash." So I stayed with him for a while. So I went and talked to my parents and told them what happened. My mom said, "Well, we just told her to tell you how you felt. We didn't tell her you didn't want to be married anymore." And I said, "But that's how I felt." And so they absolved themselves of anything with that conversation, right? So then, a few days later, I think it was literally 3 days later, my parents called me and said, "Hey, we're going out of town. Can you come and watch the house for us while we're out of town?" And I said, all right, sure, no problem. I said, "Where are you going?" And they said, "We're just going to, me and your dad are going to Gatlinburg." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, y'all have fun. I'll watch the house." So I stayed at the house. And now I talked to Alexis. Alexis, my daughter, was really young then. I think she was like 4 or 5. And I saw, because I would see her like every day. And I said, "Hey, Lex, hey, baby." She said, "Hey, how you doing?" She was little. "Hey, daddy. Hey, daddy." I said, "What are you doing?" She said, me and mom are going out of town for the weekend. We're going to the assembly." And I said, "Okay." She said, well, I'll see you when we get back, Daddy. I said, okay, baby. So I stayed at my parents' house for 3 days. So they came back, and I was going back over to my friend's house. My friend lived one street over from where I lived before I left when when the incident happened. He lived one street over from us. So I walked around to see Alexis, my daughter. I need to stop using her name, but it's too late now. But I went to see my daughter. I said, hey, baby. She said, hey, Daddy. And I picked her up, and I was like, hey, so how was the assembly? And she said, we didn't go to the assembly. We went to Gatlinburg with Grandma and Granddaddy. And I looked at her. I said, huh? And I'm in my brain, I'm thinking, I want an explanation. But then in my brain, I'm thinking, dude, she's 5. What explanation do you think you are going to receive from your 5-year-old kid? I was like, oh, okay, baby. Did you have fun? And she said, yeah, we had a good time. Grandma and Granddad took us to Gatlinburg, and we had so much fun. Now, this is 3 days after this woman burned all my clothes, destroyed my recording studio, and basically left me homeless at this point, right? So I asked my parents, I said, y'all took her to Gatlinburg? And they said, yeah, we went to Gatlinburg. We had they was just talking to me like it was such a great time. And I was sitting there looking at them, and I was thinking, I'm your son. You didn't even ask me what happened, but you felt the need to take this woman to Gatlinburg. And then you lied to me that it was just going to be you two when you were already planning to take her on a trip for destroying my property. Okay? So a little after that, I found out that before they went out of town, she had already been seeing another guy. And she had been taking my daughter with her to see this guy. And she ended up having sex with this guy, right? So, of course, we reconciled. And after we had reconciled from my infidelity and her infidelity, we felt the need to go and talk to the elders about what had transpired. Yes, BA Watchtower Education. My parents took my temper tantrum throwing wife on a trip. Didn't take me on one. Left my black ass in their house. Anyway, so we got with the elders and told them that we wanted to meet with them and talk about something. So we ended up going into the little room. And the elders asked, so tell us what happened. So they talked to her first. They said, tell us what happened. No, Nikki T, it's just water. No wine today. So they said, tell us what happened. Now, granted, we had already reconciled, but it was still a sore spot at that time because it wasn't that long after I had found out what happened. So she starts to talk about what happened, how she went over to this guy's house and that they had sex. And actually, let me rewind that because I'm not being completely honest. As I told you guys before, I'm not being dishonest. I just left something out. As I told you guys before, while I was being asked the baptismal questions, her father busted into the room and told, or not her father, one of the elders busted into the room and told the elder that was giving me my baptism questions, because I was about to be baptized. He said that her father came to them and told them that we were planning on getting married, and he didn't like that. And he made all these weird accusations about me. And the elder started asking me all these weird questions, like, well, what type of sunglasses do you wear? What type of clothes do you wear? What are you guys getting married? Do you have a job? And I said, dude, we're like 17. I said, I just like her. I said, we don't have our whole life planned out right now. And so I said, what do you mean what type of sunglasses I wear? I just wear regular sunglasses. And I said, what do you mean what type of clothes do I wear? I dress, like back then, I dressed up all the time. I was always in a suit and tie or slacks and tie. I always dressed super nice. And so he was saying, well, he's making all these Paul Brumfield said, I commend you for controlling your temper. I've never hit a woman in my life, but if I had saw all my shit on fire in a dumpster, I probably would have tossed her ass in a dumpster with those clothes. I've never hit a woman either, but I pushed my ex-girlfriend after she threw a table at me. But that was after she had attacked me on 4 different occasions. And so that time when she threw a table in my house after I had just made dinner, I was like, get out of my house. And I pushed her out of my house. But I've never hit a woman either. Thank you, Nikki T. Nikki T said, love your dreads. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. So after that little incident with asking me these questions or interrupting my questions being asked, they stopped me from being baptized. And at that point, I was still a virgin. I had never had sex, but I was like, okay, well, if you're going to accuse me of having sex and stop me from being baptized, then I might as well go ahead and have sex then. So me and my girlfriend had sex like a few days after that, because I'm like, if I'm going to suffer the consequences of having sex and I ain't had it, I might as well go and get some. So we had sex. I was like, no, we fucking. And I literally had never even brought up having sex. I was a good little Jehovah's Witness. I hadn't even brought up having sex. She had actually brought it up before, and I was like, no, we shouldn't, because we good Jehovah's Witnesses. I'm still jacking off every day because I want to have damn sex. But anyway, after that shit happened, I was like, nah, we fucking, let's go. So we had sex immediately after that incident. Now, when we went before the elders, now I think we were like in our 20s, 21, 22, it's like 4 or 5 years after we had sex as teenagers. Firstly, we brought up the fact that we had sex before we got married, right? So the elders asked us, we said, well, we had sex before we got married. She brought that up because, in my opinion, I was like, that's none of y'all's fucking business. What does it matter? But she brought it up. So the elders asked us, well, I remember his name was Brother Jones. Brother Jones asked us, he said, well, where would you all have this sex? And I said, what? This is literally what I said. So stupid. I said, well, we're pretty much wherever we could. In the car, over my friend's house, At my house, if was nobody there, we just had it at different places. And so they asked, like, how often were you guys having sex? How many times had you had sex? And I said, I really can't even. It's been I can't count. It's been a bunch of times. I didn't mark it on the calendar or anything, but it's been a whole bunch of times. So they said, since that was before either of you were, that was a long time ago. We're not gonna do anything about that. But then they asked about the more recent incidents. So they asked her, what happened. So she told them, well, I went to his house and we were just talking, and then we, had sex. And they asked, okay, what ways did you have sex? And she said, what do you mean? So he said, what positions how did you have sex? What positions were you in? And I remember her saying, well, he got on top of me and then he got behind me, whatever. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is a little bit, a little bit of time had passed since we had talked about it and patched it up. But I'm sitting here next to my wife at the time in front of 3 dudes, listening to her tell me about the way some other man fucked her. It really didn't sit well with me at all. Yes, they really asked that, Nikki T. They really asked that. And then, she was in tears and she was saying, I'm sorry. I knew I shouldn't have done that and I'm really sorry. And so, she was crying and all that stuff. And so, then she looked at me, she said, you gonna tell them what happened with you? And I said, yeah. So I told her, I told them, I ran to this girl at this video store, and then she came back to the house, and then we had sex, but it didn't really last that long, which it didn't, because you know how you might want to have sex with somebody, and then when you actually have sex, you figure out that y'all aren't really sexually compatible. And so it was like, yeah, this is not gonna happen. So we just kind of stopped. We were still cool, but it was one of those things where we knew it's like, yeah, we're not sexually compatible. So it didn't go down. So I told the elders, I said, yeah, we had sex, but it didn't really last that long. Yeah, Ray, they asked positions and everything. Cleo Banks said same thing they asked me. Yeah. Today Forever said that's some sick shit. Yeah. Miss Bailey says, wow, this is juicy tea. Elders are perverted. Yeah. Miss Bailey says the elder asks me how many times I had sex. Did I use protection? How many other people have I dated? A.K. Perez says, what? I guess you can't make that stuff up. Nope. What's up, point-to-point transportation? I've done that with an old ex. So, yeah, I told the elders what I did. And I said, but it didn't really last long. We stopped, in the middle of it. We just stopped. And he said, but the act did take place, right? And I said, yeah, the act did take place. And Nikki T says, and why do they take notes? I guess so they can have some type of documentation. But what's funny is you can't take notes, but they can take notes. Like if you want to write something down, you aren't able to record anything or write anything down, but they can. So I said, he said, so the act did take place, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, how did it happen? Were you on top of her, or was she on top of you? How did it happen? And I said, I said I was on top of her, and that was it. And so they put us on private reproof. They said, well, Keith, since you aren't baptized, we can't really do anything to you, but we recommend that you don't, that you watch what you talk about at the meetings, what you comment about. Don't comment on things that have something to do with what you told us today. So it's basically like you're on private reproof. And they said the same thing to my ex-wife. They said, you're on private reproof. Watch what you comment on. Things like that. And that was that. But the point was, they asked some really, really inappropriate questions. Like, why do they need to know how you had sex? That doesn't really pertain to anything. Michelle M says, one elder asked me, did he penetrate you? What the fuck? Yep, they sure were taking notes so they can later reread all the details. I hate what they did. Yeah, man. So that was basically my story. That was the only time that I had ever really been in the little room in a you about to be in trouble type situation. But I always thought, I didn't realize how many people that have been through that same situation until I got on the internet, and I started to see that so many people had been asked these inappropriate questions when they were disfellowshipped, or when they were, reproved, whatever you want to call it. Asking people how they had sex, what type of underwear they were wearing, what positions they were in, if they came or not, just questions that really don't particularly pertain to what's going on. Pornea. We need to start a website called Pornea Hub. Pornea. We've already had that conversation. I watch a lot of porn. Hub. Anyway, HCD says they want to know if we did it Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky style, and depending on what the word is. Michelle M says, I was a teenager in the back room when they all ganged up on me and asked me all those questions. Cleo Banks said, they told me they have to know all the details because it shows true repentance. If I didn't, I would get DF'd. So, guys, that is my story. And honestly, it's like a trip down memory lane. I can remember the way I felt when that was happening. I was super nervous and confused, and I really just didn't appreciate it. And I was thinking, why do they need to know that? So yeah, it was weird. It was really weird, and I never would have thought that I would be in front of some people that knew me my whole life talking about sex positions in the Kingdom Hall. So, yeah. What's up, Willow B? Paul ACD says jwlowe's.came. Paul Brumfield says the elders never tried to pull me in a judicial meeting. They thought I was half-ass crazy. They were kind of afraid of me. I just stopped going and never went back. Never disfellowshipped me that I know of. So now I can say after that, one thing moving forward, when that happened, it kind of put this weird, it almost seemed like they were not trying to, because I know that's what they do, put this weird constraint in your mind on sex and stuff like that. Like you're supposed to be ashamed of having sex. And I'm just a naturally sexual person. And that did not work on me. Because I even told, my ex-wife at the time, I don't give a fuck what they say. What happens in my bedroom is my business. And I'm going to do some crazy shit to you in this bedroom. And I dare somebody to say something. So, yeah, that was me. They're not finna mess up my sex life. That's just not finna happen. So fortunately I was able to just get past it because I just didn't give a F, honestly. Yeah, they would try to talk about different ways that you could and couldn't have sex. I mean, they would talk about you only being able to do it missionary and no other positions. And I'm thinking, yeah, that's not about to happen, because that's just not about to happen. I'm finna do all the positions. So that's not happening. So I pretty much just stopped listening to stuff that pertained to sex, because I knew I wasn't gonna abide by it anyway. I mean, whatever I want to do with my woman is my business. So yeah, but I would overhear some of the ladies in the congregation. I guess they didn't really like sex that much. Probably because their husbands were all gross. But being a dancer and a choreographer, I've always been in really good shape, really healthy, really sexually active. So high metabolism, high sex drive. So, my ex-wife didn't have no problem having sex with me because I was putting it down. But I would hear the other sisters in the organization talking about their sex lives and how when their husbands would want to have sex with them, they would do little tricks to make them come fast so they would hurry up and get off of them. I remember hearing one sister say, well, all you got to do when you want them to hurry up and get off of you is just squeeze your vagina real tight and it'll make them come, and they'll just get off of you and you can just go and do whatever else you want to do. And I'm thinking, damn, yo, you must, it is so sad that you are not enjoying sex like that. Miss Bailey says braggart. What? MKT says my uncle's ex-wife took him to the brothers for giving her oral sex. What? You know what? I would have been like, but you let me do it. Did you take me to the elders as soon as my tongue hit? As soon as my tongue hit it, did you take me to the elders right then, or did you let me finish? Oh, you let me finish? Then you were complicit. So I'm taking your ass to that. She let me do oral sex on her. Nikki T says no wonder she burned up your stuff because she didn't want to lose you since she'd be putting it down. This is the same woman that just told me a few months ago that she never understood why we couldn't get back together. She still thinks we're soulmates. So yeah, guys, if you don't want your woman to be crazy, you better watch how you put it down. Oh, Dirty Bird says squeeze it tight. I just spit Pepsi out of my mouth. Dude, that's real talk. I promise that happened. I promise. Let me tell you what else happened too. I'll tell you guys another time for another story. So let me tell you how this would happen. Let me tell you guys one more story. I'll tell y'all one more story. I'm full of them, guys. I am full of them. Let me tell you guys one more story. One more sex story. So, as I told you guys before, I don't have a problem in being that I've watched porn, right? I've never hid it from anybody that I've been with. My ex-wife knew it. My ex-girlfriend knew it. Because I'm a fucking adult, so I never really felt the need to hide anything like that. Even with my ex-girlfriend, I was like, yeah, I watch it. Why don't we watch together and we can have sex together while we watch it? So we would watch all different kinds, but we always would, have sex while we were watching it, right? Well, back then when I was married, I still watched it then too. You can learn a lot from porn. Porn is very educational. Crawford says, you look at me over here literally crying. Hey, man, I'm just being honest. I'm just being real. But back then, porn wasn't as easily accessible as it is now. Like, I could just be like, hold on, guys, 1 second here. I could be watching porn right now on this device. I'm not. But I could, and I have, and I do. But back then, you had to take a trip to the video store. And you had to put on you had to put your Tam hat on and your brown trench coat and your Vans and drive about 23 minutes away so that you could make sure you didn't run into anybody that knew you in the sex shop. What's going on, Osho? So back then, there was this store on Dickerson Road. No, you can't go to Blockbuster. You had to go to the flick joint. Man. The flick joint. It was called the Purple Onion. And I would go in the Purple Onion all the time, search for the best flicks, buy them joints, and come home, right? So one day, we had this TV that had a built-in VCR. So we had just watched this flick or whatever the night before, and we left the flick. Back then, people used to call porn flicks, in case somebody didn't know. So we left the flick in the VCR, right? We left the flick in the VCR. So the next day, my ex-wife's mom came over to the house. And her and my ex-wife were in the bedroom talking, whatever. They turn on the TV, and somehow the flick just starts playing. Now, I wasn't home for this. I heard about it later. So I come home. And so she tells me, well, me and my mom was in here talking. We turned on the TV, and the flick came on. I said, for real? I said, what'd she say? Because you know me, y'all, I just don't give a fuck. She said, her mom started interrogating her and was asking her, do y'all watch this all the time? Do y'all watch stuff like this? And she was saying, y'all shouldn't be watching that. y'all should only naked bodies y'all should be seeing the ones in that mirror, because we had a mirror that was like overlooking the bed too, so we could, you could look in the mirror too. So what happened after that incident? The next day, she came back, and she had made these little brochures out of printouts that she made from different Watchtower articles about watching porn. And she gave us both this little brochure and sat down and tried to study with us about the dangers of watching porn. And I'm thinking, well, if the dangers of watching porn is that I'm having sex with my wife, what's the danger? What's the harm in that? Are you saying that I can see me fuck somebody, but I can't see somebody else fuck somebody? Like, are you saying that me seeing myself fuck somebody, me watching the same thing happen with somebody else, that's just unforgivable? The moment that I take my eyes off the mirror and onto the TV, oh, I'm going to hell instantaneously. At that point, I've committed a super sin. That makes no sense. I'm still going to do it. So you can take this little punk ass brochure, which I kept the brochure, threw it in the trash, and obviously I continued my career as a porn watcher. Call in number tonight. The call in number tonight is 615-412-9335. I'm going to put it in the chat. 615-412-9335. Miss Bailey too says, I saw porn in one of the brothers' house on VHS, and I told my parents. We laughed so hard about it. Cleo Banks says, stop it. I have to go to the memorial tomorrow to ask for forgiveness for this dream. No, you don't. You like it. You love it. You love it, Cleo. It's your fine self. Cleo gonna go to the memorial tomorrow, ask for forgiveness, come back the next day and like, can we talk about that same thing again? Because that was awesome. So guys, that was my little backroom disfellowshipping story. Well, I wasn't disfellowshipped technically either. So you're not barred from calling in HCD, but we need somebody to call in and share their story with us. I'm trying to make it a little bit lighthearted because I know it's a very touchy subject. But if we can talk about how we all have moved forward after this craziness has happened, then we can all make a little light of it and help us all to move forward some. So guys, the number is 615-412-9335. Nikki T said, I'm scared to call in. Why? Why are you scared to call in? Do you want to be like Red Boy and use the Darth Vader voice? Just put a towel over the receiver of the phone and mask your voice. Go ahead and call in, Cleo Banks. Go ahead and call in, Nikki T. Somebody call in. Look, I have been telling my stories for over an hour. Willow B, I'm not DF'd. I'm scared to call in. Why is everybody so scared to call in? Am I the only one that is able to put my life out there and not worry about it? No one's even gonna know who you are. BA Watchtower says, I've never been in the back room with 3 elders, only 2 lots of times. If 3 try to get you back there, I run. Red Boy says, my story would blow your mind. Then share that mug, Red Boy. Call in. The number is in the chat, 615-412-9335. call in. Let us know what's going on. Let's look at the chat, see what's going on. I probably missed some stuff while I was telling my story. What, MKT? MKT says, I have stories about an elder disfellowshipping a friend of mine, and he caught him going in there, the little curtain room, and he told him, if you tell the brothers, I'll kill you. HCD says, Chick Flicks, Leg Show, Hustler, Club, Porky's, Somebody Does Dallas. Yep. HCD says, tonight episode will lead a man to drink water ban. Tony's Scotch intense. Daniel says, I've caught a brother at a cyber cafe watching hardcore stuff. I couldn't believe it. See, I couldn't watch hardcore stuff in public because that's just going to, never mind. Willow B says, I'm using an alias name. Well, use an alias name. XJW Survivor says, mine's not that lighthearted though. Neither was mine. I just made it that way. Because literally after I left that incident, I wasn't happy. It was a hard time, but you know, I'm over it at this point, so I can look back on it and make a little bit more light of it than I did at that time. I was really kind of pissed back then, but it's all right. Miss Bailey 2 says, just block your number. So, stop being scared, guys. Y'all call it about everything else. We talk about conspiracies. The phone lights up. You talk about what the elders asked you. Like, yeah, I'm not talking about that. I help you. Nigga T says, XJW videos helped me get reinstated so that I would know what to put in that letter and say in the interrogation room. Red Boy gave $20. Thank you, Red Boy, for your donation. I really appreciate it, my brother. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. XJW Survivor says, okay, give me a sec. I'm in the middle of watering my plants. Give me 5 minutes. Okay, XJW Survivor. See? Come on, guys. It only takes one, and then everybody starts calling. So there we go. That will be our first one. Yes. Cleo Banks is going to call in a little bit, too, with her scared self. Cleo Banks is going to call in, too, with her scared self. I'm just saying, y'all, Cleo Banks is beautiful. She is beautiful. Cleo Banks is gorgeous, guys. She is a beautiful woman. Willow B says, when's the meetup in August? Let me finish. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me finish arranging it. Guys, if you are in here right now, and if you haven't gone to the community tab on my channel to vote for what month you think would be best for you to come here for the meetup, I would appreciate it if you would go there and vote. I'll put a link to that right now. Just as a way to help us all figure out when the best time would be. August is the month of my birthday, which is why I think that person is saying that. But here is the link. Michelle M., thank you for the $25 donation. I appreciate it. Great Dane says, I'm assuming you mean on the inside. I'm sure she's beautiful on the inside too, but she's also beautiful on the outside. She is a very beautiful woman. So please go to that link and let us know what month would be best for you. I think there's a selection of 4 different months. August 20th is my birthday. So if it comes out that everybody is that August is the best time, then that's great. But if it isn't, I'm fine with it being another month. I just wanted to do it at a time when it's going to be most convenient for the most people, so that we can have the most people there. I think if I can plan it and it happen the way that I plan, it's going to be a really, really fun time. Really fun time, really informative, and it's going to allow us to really, get to know each other, help a lot of people. It's going to be a really, really fun time. So just let me know what you think. Yeah. See, these stories that y'all are putting in the chat, it would be so much better if you called in and let us know. Cynthia Keeper says, true story. My ex and I had a vibrator / massager. You can take the / massager off. Nobody uses a vibrator as a massager. It's only meant to massage your vagina or the other hole. Let's not say massager, because nobody's taking that joint and putting it on your collarbone or your damn shoulder or your hip flexor or your bicep. Or honey, ain't no woman said, honey, would you get that dick and massage my neck, please? Nobody's doing that. That shit is not a massager. That shit is a vibrator. That shit is meant to massage the inside of your vagina, your clitoris, or your rectum. That's it. Stop saying massager. It's a vibrator. We know what it is. We know what it does. We know what we use them for. Cut the bullshit. All right. HCD always is always hilarious. I love it when HCD comes into the chat. Okay, so MKT says he's gonna call. He may be able to call in. Cool. We'll wait for that. We will wait for that. Miss Belly 2 says electronic penis. That's what it is. That is what it is. XJW Survivor says she's going to call in as well. Cynthia Keeper said gave great massages. All right. This is turning into a whole nother show. This is turning into a whole nother show. The XJW Sex Show. Let's talk about all the crazy sex that we did that got our black asses or white asses or whatever race asses disfellowshipped. So yeah, man, I was downtown, got this. I remember one time, am I finna tell another story? Why do I have so many sex stories that just keep popping up? I remember one time, Nikki T says, I was thinking that too, Fitz. Oh, man. I remember this one time I went to this sex joint. Well, it wasn't a sex joint. It was a flick joint. But I think they had a little sex portion in there, too. I mean, all of this is shit that would have got my black ass disfellowshipped if somebody would have saw me. But it was this huge sex store, right? And I remember this huge flick store. And I remember going in there. And I was looking for a movie. And I didn't know that they had like strippers and stuff in there. Strippers and stuff. Strippers and stuff. I didn't know they had strippers and stuff in there, right? So I'm in there walking through the place, trying to find a flick. And did you wear a trench coat, tight pants? Not No, I don't ever wear no tight pants. You go in the flick store wearing tight pants and you don't have a problem, that means you have a problem. Because if I was to go to a flick joint wearing tight pants, not only would I have the problem of why the fuck am I wearing tight pants, but I would have the problem of, oh, okay, everybody would be like, you really like flick stores, huh? I'd be like, yeah. Great Day says, you have so many stores because you're normal, but raised amongst those that forbid even the idea of it. Yeah, I was always a freak. It didn't matter how much I read Young People Ask, United in Worship, Reasoning from the Scriptures, School in Jehovah's Witnesses, damn it, Millions Now Living Will Never Die. Damn it, I was a freak. I was gonna be in that joint, but I was in the sex joint, the flick joint, and this lady came around the corner coughing, and I'm thinking, I didn't see her yet. I'm like, who the fuck is this in here coughing like this? Excuse me. I turn around and look at her. Would you like a dance? I said, huh? I was just like, I said, huh? You want to dance? Would you like a dance? Are you here with somebody? I do couple dances too. I said, no, I'm good. I'm okay. If you wasn't coughing so much, maybe. If you wasn't coughing so much, maybe I would think about it. Maybe I would consider it, maybe. But you coughing so much. Anybody that cough that much got to have AIDS. I mean, you got to have it if you coughing that much. And it's not even cold out. It was like summertime. You gotta have them letters. You gotta have high five. You gotta have them letters. So no thanks. Let me just get my pornea and go home and masturbate like they do at Bethel. HCD says Keith needs to grab the 1976 Red Book. Michelle M said Freak of the Week. The freaks come out at night. Oh man, Junk Food Vegan Age. Man, she was coughing so much she had to have them letters, bro. Andrew D said, if I paid for it, I would go broke. You don't have how many times I'll be giving somebody a ride in Uber and they'll be like, where's the strip joint at? I said, dude, I've never been in a strip club. That's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, bro, I've never been to a strip club. I don't pay for shit that I can't touch, and I don't pay for shit I can get for free. Sorry, bro. What's up, Jenny B52? I don't think I've ever seen you in the chat, but thanks for coming through. I got DF for getting pregnant. Wasn't asked any strange questions, but they said it was to prevent this kind of thing happening again. Okay. You mean happening to you again? They think... Miss Bay to Pinocchio. No, I've never been in a strip club. I've honestly never been in a strip club. Never been to a strip club. Actually, you know what? Let me take that back. That's a lie. I've been to a strip club one time. Here's another story. So I was teaching a workshop in Texas. Long time ago, I was teaching this workshop. I'm teaching all these kids, right? So I'm of course, when I teach, but every now and then I have to show off a little bit. So they're like, oh, okay, this dude is a dope dancer too. So I would have to show off a little bit. So at the end of the workshop, at the end of the day, all these moms of all these kids, I was sitting at the hotel. They had a nice restaurant at this hotel. And I was sitting there eating, and I had a glass of wine. So like 5 moms came to this table and sat down with me. And so they said, "Oh, you having a glass of wine?" I said, "Yeah." They said, "We're gonna have a glass of wine with you." So they all had a glass of wine. So we're sitting there just talking, having wine, all this stuff. They were super cool ladies. And then they said, "You know what? We're gonna take you out, Mr. Keith." All the kids always call me Mr. Keith, and they do it so much that even like the people in the studios with adults would always call me Mr. Keith. It's like, "Mr. Keith, we're gonna take you out tonight." I said, "Oh, y'all don't have to do that." They're like, "No, we taking you out tonight, Mr. Keith." So we were in Texas, and they took me to this strip. I almost forgot. They took me to this strip club. It was the dinkiest looking place ever. It was dirty. The dancers were not the dance. Being a dancer, I'm like, if a woman can dance, it's a wrap. I'm like, I'm so like, you got, if you are a female and you fine and you can dance, it's a wrap. Like, I'm all about you. But of course, being a dancer, if the girl can't dance, then I'm like, yeah, it's all right, I'm good. So the dancers couldn't dance, and I was like, yeah, it's all right. They're not even that hot. It wasn't even like a really fun time. I really only went because the moms were being nice, and they took me out there. But we stayed for maybe like an hour or so, and then we ended up going back to the hotel and having like another glass of wine. But that's the only time I've ever been to a strip club. Yeah, I've been once. Red Boy said, "I knew it." I literally forgot because I've never like gone somewhere like with the intention of I'm gonna go to a strip club. No, I've never done that. All right. Cleo Banks said, "Them letters." Willow B said, "Not AIDS." Yeah, man. See, y'all got all these stories. Call in and share your stories with us. Share your stories. Come on, y'all can be Mr. Nancy too. You can tell your story. Go on, tell your story. HCD says, "After my first judicial in November and getting put on private reproof, my fiance and I got local needs talk entitled 'Don't Touch Wet Paint,' as the elder literally put up a sign saying that." Well, what was he calling wet paint? Like somebody's vagina? Or like cum? What was the wet paint that you weren't supposed to touch? Was it porn? Was he talking about that lady that was coughing that I saw at the flick joint? I mean, if he's talking about her, yeah, don't touch them letters. But who was he talking about? Great Dane says, "You're probably the only man who went to a strip club with 5 women." Yeah, I was getting looks. That night like, who is this dude? Oh man, those moms in those studios were crazy. Actually, my girlfriend was one of the moms at a studio I taught at. I actually found her because I was teaching her daughter, and then she took my adult class, and then we ended up dating. So yeah, the moms in those studios are crazy. Red Boy says, "I'll call in if you can convert my voice to Darth Vader." Why don't you convert your voice to Darth Vader while you're talking, Red Boy? Red Boy calling, "I got disfellowshipped for watching a porn entitled 'Anthony Morris Gets Liquor with a Stripper.'" Junk Food Vegan says, "Keith was looking like a pimp with all those women." Dude, that was so long ago. Man, how many years ago was that? That was so long. Nikki T says, "JW community is so small, making us scared to call in." Do they know you guys' YouTube names? Are they gonna be watching this XJW broadcast about how you got this fellowship? Ain't nobody gonna be watching this. Do you guys want me to take it down after? If I take it down and not post it, will that make you guys call in? Maybe I'll just send this one straight to my Patreon channel, and anybody that wants to see it can just be a patron. Maybe we can have some Patreon only videos where if you pay like $1 or $5 a month, those are the videos that you can see. Ain't no JW gonna be a member of my Patreon. So what we can do, if you're afraid that somebody's gonna see who you are or know who you are, we can just put this video on Patreon. Willow B says, I just tried to call in. Really, Willow B? What happened? Let me see. Let me make sure everything's all right. Let me make sure everything is okay. Hold on. Please leave a message after the beep. Huh. Let me see here. Hold on. It may have signed me into the wrong account. Hold on 1 second, guys. Okay. Hold on, guys. Okay. All right, you are on. What's your name? Your screen name and where you calling from?
Keith, I mustered the courage. This is HCD.
What's up, HCD? What's going on, man?
Finally did it.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah.
It's good to hear you. You're the funniest dude in the chat, man. What you got to say? I know this is going to be great.
Yeah, that's how I survive and keep everybody else surviving this insanity, to keep sanity, right?
I hear you, bro. So what happened with you, man?
All right, 1998. We'll just stick with the quote-unquote close disfellowshipping story and what led up to it. Okay. Early 98, I started dating a sister that moved up from the south suburbs of Chicago. I lived on the north side, and she moved in to the same hall, same book study. And after a couple months, started going out, picked up her cousin for the first date. So the three of us kind of had like a semi-chaperone date with her non-JW cousin.
Okay.
And after that, I'd say spring, summer, we just kind of went on, restaurant dates, normal type dates. Most of them unchaperoned.
Okay.
Which I don't know how we got away with that alone for as long as we did, but we did. And come about either June or July of 98, we started getting hot and heavy with kissing. Believe it or not, it took, a few months before we kind of started breaking down some walls, if you will.
Okay.
And even at that point, we had already talked about sex. We were like, okay, we don't want to have any surprises. We were like, okay, we don't want to get in trouble with Jehovah. And we started to go to the beach one night, Lake Michigan, Chicago side, nighttime, perfect moonlit night. And we started fondling privately at the beach.
Okay.
I did from behind the back, a little under the shirt breast feel.
Okay.
Massage.
Okay.
And always consensual, two normal, natural, falling in love 26-year-old Jehovah's Witnesses. And she started feeling back through my pants.
It's about to go down.
We set quote-unquote boundaries. And this is going to sound really weird to you, a lot of y'all. Because I guess both of us mutually, we had never really, even though I came out of the world and she kind of was raised around the organization,
Mm-hmm.
we hadn't dated hardly anybody,
Mm-hmm.
each, respectively, high
Okay.
school years, college years. But we had the hots for one another by that time, obviously, 6 months into our relationship. So we got back into the car. We
Mm-hmm.
went over to my building that I lived in. It was an apartment building, but it had a big basement that was private. And
Uh-oh.
yeah, she reached in and wanted to see what the jewels were.
Okay. Okay.
And we mutually fondled. Okay,
Okay.
we went basically to the point where I'd had the big Kassam, and we were half clothed when we did this, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And we like certain boundaries we had like established, and we actually had stuck to them as far as not going beyond, the mutual masturbation kind of a thing.
Okay, so you guys made the
And
boundaries. You said, "Look, I'm gonna rub your clit, and that's about
yep,
it." And then she said, "I'm gonna rub your dick, but that's about it."
that's that's the point we were at. And
Okay.
believe it or not, we didn't go to oral.
Mm-hmm.
One time I got so hot when I was dropping her off at the apartment and I walked her up, and I kind of got just naturally male,
Mm-hmm.
aggressiveness,
Mm-hmm.
and she kind of just pushed me off, said, "David, no." And I respected that
Mm-hmm.
because it's the type of person I am as a man,
Right.
respecting woman, don't cross line. And we kept that, but then I had been a ministerial servant for almost 2 years,
Okay.
and we had done it to this quote unquote level, I would say about, I don't know, 15, 20 times
Okay.
between July 98 and November of 1998.
Okay.
So one day my quote unquote, conscience started bothering the heck out of me, and I'm like, okay, I'm an account servant and all that. So I just got the impetus to write a 2-page confessional and
Really?
drop it off at the Kingdom Hall because I had keys to the Kingdom Hall. Count servant, ministerial servants always do.
Okay.
And I went and like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, nobody was there. Dropped that off along with the accounts servant folder, and I was like,
Hold
this
on,
is it.
HCD. You dropped off. You dropped off the account servant folder, and then in addition to it, you said, "Let me go ahead and slide this confession about what I've been doing."
Yep, yep.
Here's
Two
the
birds, one stone.
here's all the information about the congregation, and here is some information about what me and this chick been doing in this.
All kinds of uncleanness going on around here.
You a trip, HCD. You funny in real life just like you are in the chat. Man, you are amazing. All right, I'm sorry. That was just super hilarious. I'm sorry. Continue.
It's all right, man. Hey, it's therapeutic for all of us after this insanity.
Right.
Oh, gosh. So I wound up getting a phone call later that evening by the presiding overseer.
Okay.
And because another congregation was holding their meeting at our hall in Chicago, they've only got a single hall there. My fiance and I were told to meet up at his personal residence. He owned an apartment building on the north side.
Okay.
So he was there, obviously, with 2 other elders for our meeting. And they didn't meet with us together in this one. It was separate. They had me come in first, then they sent me to another room in their big apartments, totally closed off so I couldn't hear. Brought her in, and I found out that the PO's wife, inadvertently walked in on the meeting as my fiance was doing her confessional.
Wow.
And she dropped her whatever she was holding in her mouth, went agape, ooh, you know how elders' wives,
right.
Oh my God,
like they never seen a dick
you know.
before. They know they ain't seen a dick
Yeah,
before. They done
yeah,
kissed
exactly.
one. They know what a dick is. They done anyway. Continue. I'm sorry, HC. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the prudishness, but we were viewed as repentance. It was like a 3-hour session at the house, and one of the brothers took her home, and then I drove home separately, and she called me about 11:30 that night, kind of tearing up, and we were making a decision as to, do we want to go forward with our relationship? Because we were already in love.
Okay.
Obviously. But because of this and this inane, uptight rule they have about all this levels of different, monitoring of sexual activity, it got to the point where we started thinking, oh, we're bad association and certain people don't like us. Well, she had moved in from, like I said, a different congregation. And when you're a sister and you move up to a new congregation, you start dating one of the local brothers like me, who at the time viewed as Mr. Pristine Christian. It makes some of them pretty mad. They start coming down hard on her. I didn't like that. And I decided, look, I'm sticking with her. I love Diana, and we fell in love. We're going to make this work.
Okay.
The brothers were obviously telling us after this point, because we had basically just gotten engaged. It's like, you guys aren't even married yet, and this happened. Okay, well, took the counsel, took the discipline. They gave that private reproof label, and then what I was texting or putting in the chat, the talk that was given, the local needs talk, don't touch wet paint. It was based on that scripture in 1 Corinthians where it talks about it's not good for a man to touch a woman, kind of a thing. That's what he based the whole thing on, as if, you're going out rampantly having sex with all sorts of different people or something like that.
Wow.
So, yeah, I was in front of the hall. People didn't know by name, but they figured it out when they saw I was no longer an MS and put on, reproof. They found out privately.
That's
all that
fucked up.
Stuff still gets around. Yeah, even though it's not, you can not even have your name mentioned from the platform, but people are so gossipy and nosy. Oh, they will figure it out.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Right.
So, like I said, we stuck it out. We wanted to be together, and we tried to hold back. We weren't planning on marrying immediately, but we wanted to. And then the presiding overseer was starting to push me towards setting up a Kingdom Hall wedding. Now, she was a real shy person. She didn't want a Kingdom Hall wedding, and I really didn't either. And I would say about 3 months or so later, we're in a car together, and we went to the same level, quote unquote, that we went to before, not beyond that point. What they ultimately ruled as, quote unquote, fondling pornea. So eventually in May of 99, we were like, okay, I think we need to get married. It's been a year and a half, 27 years old. And we found out that the elders wanted to meet with us. So we decided to go ahead and go down to the Chicago Justice of the Peace and tie the knot. No Kingdom Hall wedding. Didn't want it anyway. His friends that mainly wanted to see that. Some of them didn't like her, so what good was that going to be anyway? So May 22nd, 1999, first thing in the morning, drove to downtown Chicago, married in front of the judge, kissed the bride, got a few pictures taken. We were out of there late morning and got a call from the elders to come meet with them on our wedding day. Now, they hadn't known yet, at least not all of them, that we had gotten married that morning. We got to the hall about 12 o'clock, and what they wanted to do is follow up to see, what the progress was, quote unquote. They're like, we think, you guys might have crossed some lines or whatever again, or just seeing at least how you guys are doing. Told them we're married. And then I confessed at we were in back room, elders room this time on a Saturday afternoon. I said, well, we went to the same level we went to last time, not further than that. There was no intercourse, believe it or not. Telling the honest, straight up truth, period. So they pulled out their notebooks and they started writing down those different interrogation things to ask how far you went. Dave, did you climax? Did you climax, Dave? He asked that about 2-3 times. It's mainly pointed towards me because, aggressively towards, the man, at least in my personal case, they seemed that way at that particular hearing. So we got in and out of there, I want to say about 2.5 hours of questioning on Saturday afternoon, literally the day of our marriage, our wedding. And even though they knew they couldn't postpone this, knowing we just got married and want to enjoy themselves. No, they gotta, be finicky and think that, we're doing some sort, thing ridiculous. So anyhow, we go out, we wait about 15 minutes just outside the elders' room as they deliberate, come back in, and the one elder says, "Well, David, Diana, I consider it a great privilege to let you know that you're still a part of the congregation. You're not being put away or put out, but you're going to remain on private reproof, and you're going to be on it a lot longer, David and Diana." So we weren't in tears yet, but we were kind of like, okay, we were kind of more relieved than anything else. And basically the meeting ended 3:00 in the afternoon. It's about 3 hours altogether. And I went up to the presiding overseer, one of the three elders, and he said, or I said to him, "Well, Bob, I apologize for trouble I've caused." He points to the sky in a Toni Morris-like way and says, "Don't apologize to me. Don't be sorry to me." And basically, trying to make us feel as bad as we can for, crossing the lines that we did. We never even had full sex or oral sex or whatnot. So my wife was pretty torn up about it. We went for a long drive to visit some friends in the south suburbs and, kind of talk things through and get moved in together. We had the convention at Comiskey Park, the old Sox Park, about a week after this. And then the week after that, they had the local needs talk. So, of course, I was still on private reproof, but extended private reproof, no commenting, the whole shebang. So this talk was on, he came up with grieving the spirit, and basically castigated us from the platform, again, without directly mentioning our names, but people knew that, okay, they got married. People thought that we had all kinds of sex. They thought we did everything under the book. And truth be told, we held to those lines. We actually did not engage in actual intercourse until after we were married.
Wow.
But these guys take this to the level of being, so paranoid that it just, their definition, because right around that time, that's when I mentioned the Bill Clinton, the Monica Lewinsky thing. Right around that time, that's what people in the news were paying attention to, because he had just gotten caught. But of course, he was married to Hillary for how many years, and depends on what the meaning of the word is. We heard circuit overseers using that line, and all the different, media spotlights, and the internet was just beginning basically at that point. So, yeah, we wound up being kept on private reproof for another year plus.
Damn.
I got my we got our commenting privileges back together in about 8 months after that meeting. That's the first thing to give back when you're on full restrictions, because that's the other part. They say, "Oh, you're in full restrictions." So start commenting, and then they'll give you a talk once you're off of the restrictions, and you're kind of free back to quote unquote being viewed halfway normal. But I will say, after the second private reproof, especially when we go to field service arrangements, we were totally marked and not even talked to by a lot of the friends. The only one that we talked to would be the elder, or maybe somebody that sympathized with our humanity. It was amazing. It's like you were being shunned, just like a disfellowship person, right in the Kingdom Hall, and months and months and months, for whatever reasons, individual so-called friends, did not even bother to say hello to us. So it was taxing. We're starting a new life together. Could use a measure of, just moral support, if anything else, emotional support. But I guess their holier than thou asses are so perfect and hoity-toity that they think that they're, it's far beneath them to even have a civilized conversation, let alone a sentence with us. So believe it or not, after coming off for proof in 2000, I gradually worked my way back to being a ministerial servant in 2002.
Okay.
And stayed that way to 2006. Got deleted. We got deleted together. Well, I got deleted because I should say together we had less than 10 hours a month.
Okay.
Bought a house in 2007. Just a brief synopsis of the rest of the story is things kind of went down in our marriage after about the 10-year mark. She got sick with a whole bunch of illnesses, sepsis, lymphoma cancer, anemia, Epstein-Barr, and eventually quit her job, which I had helped her get through school for back when we were in our 30s. She was an ultrasound technician making really good money. And with my income and hers, we got that house and that. But she quit her job instead of taking the long-term or short-term disability, and everything fell apart after that. Wound up, she thought I was cheating. By 2012, I was working long hours at a law firm because we were down to one income. And despite me proving my innocence, she would not believe that I was just working 12 to 14 hours a day. She thought I was doing something else part of that time. Wow. And I proved my innocence any way, shape, form I could, even with a couple of elders that came to, scope us out. And she sucked them on me in a couple of meetings. And same story, because I was straight out being honest. And she still didn't believe it, and she eventually walked out on me May of 2012. I came home from a long day of work, and half the house was empty. We tried to reconcile by 2013, and she was not willing to, get back together. So she basically proceeded with a divorce, and October 2013, that finally went through. But I still had to pay huge maintenance because she just had disability income with her illnesses. And she had moved in with a friend of hers that she went to grade school with. So it wound up, she would not acquiesce. I paid that for several years until I wound up losing the employment that I had at the law firm, and wound up having to rescind and go get to the family lawyer and spend tens of thousands of dollars to rescind the maintenance alimony. And sad to say, she lost her life October 22nd of 2018. Her mom, who was disassociated, but yet still checked on her, bring her food and that. Her mom went over to do a well-being check and bring her food, actually, and found her dead on her bedroom floor last October 22nd, 2018. So it's only been about 5-6 months since that occurred. So that's why my mind has been in other places, and you haven't seen me around too much. So, yeah, we found in letters that she had that she was filled with Armageddon paranoia. Basically, her mind had gone to a point, and I think the illnesses severely affected her that she had, but she was still devout Jehovah's Witness mentally, very deep and mentally, even though she was not a person that did a lot of field service time. That wasn't the measuring stick that a lot of people, in the organization tend to measure by. Her mind was deep in. I mean, she thought it was life and death, believing in Armageddon, the Great Tribulation coming later today or the day after tomorrow. And when she got this illness that, coupled with what she had, parent struggles financially, despite me supporting her for all those years, even after she divorced me, the end, she apparently just isolated herself. She wouldn't respond to texts from most of us. I still had good relationships with the rest of her family, most of whom are not Jehovah's Witnesses. Like I said, her mom had disassociated herself almost 15 years ago, but we still kept up with her. I didn't shun her, and she, it was her mom. She still kept a good relationship with her, considering. But sad to say, it's just her mind, coupled with the illnesses, absolutely made her go off the cliff. And they said she died of natural causes, but the illnesses and that had caused her to gain a lot of weight, and the autopsy officially was stating it was natural, but they found arterial and cardiac issues. So she may have just dropped of a heart attack in actuality at 46 years old.
Wow,
So,
HCD, I'm sorry to hear that you're going through that, but I can tell by the way you're talking about her that you still have some love for her, and it probably really hurt you that happened. And I can understand. You just can't turn your feelings off like that, no matter what that person has done or what the organization has done. If you love somebody, you still love them, and I know that it hurts you to have to go through that. And I can tell just by the way you're talking about it that you still had love for that woman.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was real, and life wasn't fair for her to get these illnesses and diseases, and to be essentially, raised much more so around an organization than I ever was, that really, really captivated her mind. She, in her last days, based on letters we found and notes we saw, she was paranoid almost. She was very reclusive, and secluded herself in her bedroom despite having that roommate girlfriend of hers, and wound up that's where she died at. And the notes basically were alluding to all these suspicions of avoiding these people, and even certain people in the hall, and even her roommate. She was like saying they're possessed by the devil, and this one is under the influence of Satan. I mean, really extreme things that sometimes we see witnesses that are really fanatical develop that type of mindset, especially when they're under a very high stress, high pressure situation, whether it's mental or physically you're breaking down. They're begging for the Armageddon bailout. It can't come soon enough. And that's how it looks like she passed away. And
how are you dealing with that, Dave? How have you been dealing with it? We haven't seen you in a long time. How have you been dealing with that loss? It has to be hard on you. How have you been dealing with that?
I'm coping. I mean, I've been off of work for a while, and I had to quit a job last year that I had, and I'm trying to get back right now. So it's been a bite in the ass financially. I had to pay for her funeral because her family didn't have anything. At the same time, my dad has gone on Medicaid because he's got Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and dementia, and I'm an only child trying to handle that. Watch my aunt, who's 84 years old. So it's been an emotional roller coaster. But I'm keeping my sanity. I'm trying to get myself healthy again. I'm turning 47 on May 9th. I'm trying to get back into working out. I used to be heavy into bodybuilding and taking care of myself physically as well as mentally. And I've really just woken up to TAT over the last, not even 2 years ago. 2017 was when I really started investigating, and I had even sent a text to my ex-wife back around September before she had died about the $35 million judgment in Montana. I said, Diana, this is why we're having the issues. This organization is littered with cover-ups of pedophiles and child abuse, yet they're bitching at us about frickin' feeling one another up. That's how skewed and twisted this convoluted organization is. Yet we were led to believe, at least I was as a walk-in, that this was, an organization that ascribed to the pinnacle of the highest standards of morality, and they're having the same, if not worse, proportionally, problems of cover-ups than what the Catholic Church and these other groups have had. And their feet are being held to the fire, and that's where we see some of these trollers coming on your channels and that in the comment section. Their asses can't take it because, they're just defending Toni Morris and the governing body policies, and you see the hypocrisy the more you look into it, and how ridiculously fanatical it is, and how they're actually out of harmony.
You're right. Scripture. You're right, Dave.
Coming to that,
do you blame the organization? Do you think that if the organization would not have been involved, that you two would still be together and that she would still be here? Do you think the organization had a great part in, because it sounds like you're saying that a lot of the stress that she was going through was trying to live up to the standards of the organization?
I think so, because when I was starting to work those long hours in 2010, she didn't believe it was legitimately for financial reasons. We were already in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, Keith. We had been making the monthly payments for 18 months, trying to pay off consumer debt. She had student loan debt from, like I said, when she went back to school. I had co-signed on one of them. Plus, we had a first and a second mortgage because we bought in just as the prices were starting to come down, but before the real mortgage crash happened in this country, in this world. So yeah, it whatever percentage it played into it, the mindset, the deeper inner mindset mentality had a very substantial role. How the organization makes us think with that drilling that they do, bashing our heads week in, week out about the end is near, and that paranoia they keep in the back of our mind. Definitely. She was impacted more than that, even though I was the one that was, putting in the 10 plus hours most of the time we were married until I wasn't. And then I just kind of stopped attending meetings, or I would go haphazardly to meetings while she was getting rides. I was at work a lot. So she felt that I was breaking, the spiritual thing. The organization sticks the organization's methodologies into everybody's marriage so tight that they start having people thinking that, oh, well, if this spouse is not being on the same exact page, no matter what the circumstances, they must have some sort of action coming because that's Satan. Everything is Satan. And you know what? Some of it might be. The thinking is such that, start thinking some of it may be bad things, but bad things can happen to good people, great people. Doesn't matter. Bad things happen to bad people.
Exactly.
And life happens. I got into bankruptcy law at first thinking that there was all kinds of bad associated with bankruptcy law. Our president, Donald Trump, has filed bankruptcy 4 times, okay? Robert Kiyosaki, his real estate partner, his wife Kim Kiyosaki filed a Chapter 7 bankruptcy on a $24 million judgment that they had so that the rest of their stuff. We've had 4 presidents that have filed bankruptcy. So the reality is I started having paradigm shifts even back then, around 10 years ago, when I started helping people at the law firm I worked in, because so many people needed help with bankruptcy. It wasn't something that, was, looked up to, and people had to have prejudices overcome on, that, and whether it was something that was a tool in the toolbox that they needed to have. I was spending 12-hour days on the phone at the office trying to do that, trying to get raises and bonuses and increases in pay because she had quit her $55,000-$60,000 a year job. And I understood she was sick. She needed to concentrate on getting well, but she got to a point in her mind that because I was not going to these meetings as much anymore and I wasn't doing family study, oh, I must be cheating. I must be doing something else. One of the elders in the meeting said, he brought us in the back room. He goes, David, nobody works 12 and 14 hours a day. I said, his name was Perkins. I said, Perkins, do you see this economy out here? We got over 10+% unemployment for the first time since the Great fucking Depression. Okay. This is real. Our situation is real. We're already in a bankruptcy. That bankruptcy is going to have to get dismissed. And then we're going to have to file a Chapter 7 to have a full blowout if this keeps going. And that's what I eventually had to do in 2013. We at the same time we got our divorce, we got our bankruptcy done, and the house. I literally lived in one of those upside down houses. Gosh, it must have been 4 years altogether without a mortgage payment. Nice area. It was 55% underwater at the worst point. I mean, I maintained it. I upkept it. I had great neighbors. Hated that I had to leave there, but it was all part of the collapse of everything. No matter how hard I worked, no matter what I did, it seemed like it was a whole rehashing of bad situations gone worse. And sad that it came to that point. But
are you talking to? Well, I sounds like you should. I hope you're talking to someone, dude. I mean, you've gone through a lot, and I hope that you are talking to somebody to get some of this off your chest, because I can tell you, if you're not, you need to get a lot of this work through, because you're going through a lot, bro. You definitely need to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it's mainly been, my aunts and small family, because I moved after the foreclosure. I moved from Chicago up to central Wisconsin, which I needed to anyway because my dad and my aunt were both, getting older in their 80s, and I'm it. I'm an only child, and she's got one son, and that's it. So
Well,
that's gotten
Dave,
worse.
bro,
So
man,
now
I
gotta
am
get
so
help. Yeah, I
sorry
know.
that you have had to go through all this stuff, bro. But look, man, you are still here. You sound like you have, as even though you're going through this stuff, you're still you. You know what I mean? You come to the shows, you still have a great sense of humor. Man, I can't, and I've been reading the chat while you've been talking. Everyone is so appreciative of you telling your story, man. I appreciate you so much for calling in, bro. Thank you so much for this story, because I'm sure if at the very least you're helping at least one person to see that, hey, somebody else is going through a whole lot of stuff too, and if they can go through it and still have some type of sunny disposition, it's going to be okay for me too.
Yeah, I mean, we got to keep going. And what I've learned in the last year and a half and waking up, almost 2 years now, I mean, I didn't really truly analyze all these problems until I started, watching Marcus Vaughn's videos and the One Buns videos, Asher, and I saw what Asher went through with her losing her mom to the blood transfusion issue, and some of the others ones, JT and Lady C, a couple of the other videos. And I was scared to death to watch them because we had heard such things about, apostate. That's like the most evil word that the organization creates, and yet they totally misconstrue the definition of what apostate is.
Exactly.
It's just so convoluted. And I didn't see it for 20 plus years, and I walked into this organization. I came in at a very vulnerable time, by the way. Just back up to my early point. I was 20 years old.
Hold on one second,
Yeah.
HCD. Let me get back, because there are like three other people that want to call too. So stop, put a bookmark right there, and then I'm going to because we've been on 35 minutes. I don't want everybody to not have a chance to at least call in for a few minutes.
Gotcha.
So put a bookmark right there. And then once everybody else call, I do want you to call back and finish, but I don't want everybody to not have a chance to call. So let me bookmark this conversation right here. Don't forget anything, and I'm going to call you, let you call right back once everybody else gets on here, okay?
No problem at all, man.
Thanks for calling,
love to everybody out there.
Appreciate
Stay
you,
strong,
bro.
guys. I'll listen in. You bet.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. So we have to give HCD the applause on that. So much information that he just shared right then, man. Willow B, are you still there? I know you said you wanted to call in. Call in, Willow B. Call in. You too, Cleo B. And you too, Red Boy. We got 3 people, and who else was gonna call in? There was one more that was going to call in. I know MKT said he had to go. I think was that Miss Bailey that said she was going to call in? Somebody said they're going to call in. Okay, so the phone line is open. Go ahead and call in. Guys, we want to get as many people to be able to call as possible. The show has been on for 2 hours, and it's flown by. It's great. Yes, HCD, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. Okay, so come on, you two. We we cut off HCD's amazing story just so we could have some time for some other people to call in too. So don't let us down. Don't let us have ended HCD's amazing sharing with us in vain. Now go ahead and call in. Go ahead and call in. Let me put the number back on the screen, and I'll put it in the chat as well. All right, the number. Actually, Willow B, I was signed into the wrong Skype account. That's why I didn't let you in. So yeah, what HCD just said is right. But I was signed into the wrong Skype account when you tried to call in, so that was my bad. That was my bad. But go ahead and call back in, Willow B. No, HCD says I'm a win bag. Dude, no, your story was, I didn't even realize until I looked up at the screen that we had been on for 35 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I want to hear, you know what? You would be somebody that would just be good to have a show and we could just talk. But I want to definitely give other people a chance to call in because we had 3 other people call. We've already been on for 2 hours and people start dropping off after 2 hours. So Willow B, go ahead and call in. Red Boy, stop being scared. Go on and call in. Cleo Banks, stop being scared. Go on and call in. There was one more person that said they were going to call in too. Who was that? Let me find you so I can call you out on the show. Go ahead and call you out. Go ahead and call in, guys. 615-412-9335. That is a lot, man. You know, what I can say about that story is that a lot of times when you think you're going through a lot and then you hear what someone else is going through, it gives you perspective and you think, you know what? I really don't have shit to complain about. You know what I mean? And so hearing HCD's story, man, it gives me some real perspective. Yeah, I've gone through a lot. I'm going through a lot, but I'm not going through that. And that man is still here. And he still is funny as hell. And he's still, you know, he's still able to help someone by sharing his story. That is the reason why I do this show. I know there are a lot of great XJW channels out there. A lot of great ones. But I really want this channel to be about us telling stories to each other and really helping each other, man, because we can talk about the ills of the organization all day, but how the fuck is that going to help us move forward with our lives? The best way that we can do that is by helping each other to realize, hey, I went through this shit with this organization, but I am still here, and this is how I am moving forward. That is the best thing we can do besides just talking about how fucked up the organization is. We all already know that shit. We know how fucked up the organization is. But how are we going to help each other move past the shit that we went through? That is what we need to do, man. And what HCD just did, I'm sure he gave so much perspective to so many people. I know I'm not. Yeah, Cleo Banks said it too. So grateful to you, HCD, for sharing that story. Thank you so much. Willow B says she's going to call in a second, guys. She said, give me a second. I'll call in a minute. So we will be waiting for that call. Red Boy, stop being scared. Go on and call in. Go ahead and call in. We're going to get Cleo Banks to call in too, guys. Cleo's going to call in too. We're going to get Cleo to call in too. We are going to get her to call in too. Where is Deidre tonight? I haven't seen Deidre in the chat tonight. She must be busy. She must be busy. Now, how many people... Miss Bailey too says, I need new friends who can relate to my woes. That's what we are all here for. And that's why I want to do this meetup, guys. So we can have some new friends. We can meet each other. We can have a great time. We can do all kind of, activities to help us know each other and just have a good time. Go out and just party and have fun and go to the flick joint. I'm just kidding, kind of. So, all right. So we got Willow B about to call in. We got We got the MVP HCD just sharing the story. You know what? HCD and Great Dane, it's just something. It's just something about you two. This is the first time HCD has called in, but it's something about you and Great Dane, man. You guys are so genuine and real. Everyone who calls in is like that. It's just I really have enjoyed talking to HCD, and I like talking to Great Dane because she's a great debater. So yeah. Okay. The East Coast is not that far from Tennessee, guys. Where on the East Coast do you guys live? I know you don't want to share your hometown, I guess, but I mean, what city do you guys live? What state do you guys live in on the East Coast? What's up, Gene B52? Paul Brumfield says, I'm down for the meetup. I'm in Louisiana, but I will come to wherever. Yes, it's gonna be in Nashville, man. Nashville is the party town of the country right now. Nashville is the place. Nashville is the shit, guys. Everybody wants to come to Nashville to party. So it's not that far from the East Coast. We can make it down here. Cleo, Great Dane says Connecticut. All right, who we got? All right, what's your name and where are you calling from? Hello? Oh, somebody chickened out. Somebody got scared. Call back whoever that was. Okay. Great Dane is in Connecticut. Cleo Banks is in PA. Foxy Loxy's in VA. Andrew D is in the NY. Miss Bailey said next to PA. Okay, so Miss Bailey too and Cleo Banks, y'all not too far from each other. You might have a new friend over there. But yeah, guys, we are not too far from Tennessee. We can make this thing. We can get this thing popping. We can have a great time in the Ville, guys. We can raise all kind of hell. We can go TP some Kingdom Halls. We can go egg some JWs while they out in service. Red Boy's in ATL. ATL is 4 hours away, Red Boy. You have no excuse. Paul Brumfield says, been to Memphis, Tennessee, and had a blast. Definitely will come to Nashville. If you had a blast in Memphis, Nashville is so much more off the chain than Memphis, bro. You will have so much more fun in Nashville. If you've never been to Nashville, you will have so much more fun here. Willow B, you better call back. Get your ass back on this phone. Don't make me call you back. I got your number. Your number's in the Skype. Don't make me call you back. I'm trying to be nice and let you call in. Don't make me call you back. Gene B52 says, I'm in Baco, Nashville West. What is that? What is that, Gene B52? HCD says Candace Lambert can cut my hair in Nashville. Yeah, man. She's in the Ville. She is in the Ville. Her daughter goes to a dance studio that I used to teach at. So, yeah, she is definitely here. No TP, but I get urges to kick over those carts. Well, let's just do it. Let's go on a fucking let's be some tippers. Let's go tipping. Let's go cart tipping. Cleo Banks says, Willow B, I'm still proud of you for calling. Go ahead and call back, Willow B. Everybody get on Willow B's ass and get her to call back in. Let's just give Willow B some encouragement so that she can call back and share her story. You too, Cleo Banks. I don't know why you scared. I don't know why you scared. Y'all gonna make me have to think up another story. How many more stories I got? Bakersfield, home of Buck Owens and the Buckaroos. I have no idea who that is. Is it because I'm black that I don't know who Buck Owens and the Buckaroos are? Is that what it is, Gene B52? I don't know. I don't know who that is. School me. Who is that? I don't know who that is. Okay, so Willow B is now not going to call, even though she's in the privacy of her own home, and we are all here to support you. We are all here to support you. Paul Brumfield says, do I need to bring bail money? Nah, man. Oh, that's who's supposed to call in. XJW Survivor, you were supposed to call in. What happened? XJW Survivor, I thought you were going to call in. Cleo Banks says, I'm not home. I drove up to my parents' house for the I'm listening with headphones. You better not be laughing. They're going to see you laughing. Who are you listening to? They're going to be, what you listening to? You're going to be like, Kingdom Melodies. I'm listening to Let's Watch How We Walk and Watch How We Talk. Great Day said, yes, you don't know who they are because you are black. Great Day is real. She said, yeah, you don't know. It's a white thing, dude. You wouldn't understand. Great Day said, it's Keith, it's a white thing. You wouldn't understand because you black. Uh-oh, who's calling? Let's see who this is. What's going on? You are on the K Fits My Life show. What's your name? Where you calling from? Or your fake name?
It's Red Boy.
What's up, Red Boy? Turn your music down in the background. I can hear you and me talking twice.
Oh, that's because I don't know how to shut this thing off on the phone.
Okay, well, dude, you are on, so let me not interrupt you. Just start talking. What's going on, Red Boy? I'm glad you called in, brother.
All right, so this is just like it's a quick thing.
Okay.
I'm not going to spill it out tonight.
Okay. You listen to the conversation again, huh? Hello? Are you there?
I'm here, so you know what? I'm just going to call back another time, but I would rather you got my number, you hit me up privately.
Okay, man. I will definitely do that, man. Thanks for calling in, Red Boy. We appreciate you. We know it's tough, but hey, you made the first step, so thanks for calling in, my brother.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right, bro. Later. All right. Baby steps will get you closer to your goal. So we got two people that took one baby step toward talking about their experience. So I am going to applaud Red Boy and Willow B. Thank you both so much. Thank you both so much. You took a step, man. You took one step. One little step. XJW Survivor, are you still going to call? XJW Survivor, are you still going to call? We got Cleo. Look, guys, look, we got Cleo Banks in here sneaking and listening to the show. She can't laugh. She can't smile. She can't do nothing. She is sneaking, listening to the show. She is sitting there humming, walking in integrity, while she's listening to the shows to throw her parents and her family off the trail. We are sitting here talking about flick joints and Pornhub, and she's sitting there. Can you see with your mind's eye people dwelling together? HCD says, pass out the Scotts or Jameson. Susan Morris recommends for confessional with K Fitz. Hey, man. Totally Faded is in the shot. That's not too far from Tennessee either. That is not too far. Y'all gonna make me have to think up another story? I don't think I have anymore. Well, I got a ton of stories, but I don't know how well, you know, I don't care about sharing anything. I'll talk about anything. Oh, man. Sorrow is gone for, what is it? Sorrow is gone from now on. No need to weep or fear. Willow B, thank you so much for the $20 donation. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. There it is. Sorrow has passed. Peace at last. We're done with that bullshit. Oh. Get out of there real fast. Tell them to kiss your ass. Oh. Live for the day when you'll say, oh. J-Dubs can kiss my ass. Oh, boy. Shup, Great Dane. Miss Bailey, too, says, my sister is mad at me. Why is your sister mad at you? Gene Beefer, too, says, hey, I don't even remember being reproved, but when I was DF'd, it was for the baby in me, not for the act of fornication. Well, how did the baby get inside you? Wait a minute. Let me make sure I read that right. Hey, I don't even remember being reproved, but when I was disfellowshipped, it was for the baby in me, not for the act of fornication. So they disfellowshipped because you had a baby. Were you artificially inseminated, or did God send his space DNA down and get you pregnant? Did he do that again? Come on now. I know that's not what happened. Nikki T says, next live about Kingdom Melodies. Cleo Banks says, I will never be able to sing that at the hall with the straight face again. You know what? That's a song you're going to be singing Sunday. Oh, man. Red Boy said, I used to sing JW songs in hip-hop and rock mode. That's funny. All right, so we had Red Boy and Willow B call in. That was great. Now we're waiting for XJW Survivor. XJW Survivor, just tell us in the chat. Are you scared? Did you get scared? At least make the call. At least make the call. Let it ring. We know it was you. Never know. You might hear my melodious voice singing Kingdom songs and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and talk. Miss Bailey said, I'm not mad. I fell asleep, woke up to you laughing. I had some ice cream with alcohol. Really? That sounds damn good. Y'all gonna make me do another 3-hour show. This junk is fun as hell. Literally, this is the high point of my day. I really look forward to this so much on the days now that I've been streaming every day. It is the high point of my day to see you guys here in the chat and talk with you all. Okay, HCD says I like Bridget Feister's Kingdom Melodies. If y'all haven't heard her YouTube channel, check it out. Bridget is awesome, repping North Carolina. 1111-007. I had to fight not to sing the Kingdom Melodies like gospel songs. Put soul in them. Those songs are so damn boring. Dirty Bird, Miss Bailey Tether. Yep, we've already had that conversation. The bourbon or rum flavored ice cream. Dang, that sounds pretty dope. So I think that next show idea about how did you wake up is a great topic, man. I think we should definitely do that. How many people are even available to be to tune in on Fridays? Fridays always seem like a day where people are too busy. People are partying. Maybe we could do that for the next XJW Sunday show, like Sunday at 7:30. I'll try to stay away from Fridays and Saturdays because I feel like people are, out doing stuff, out at the strip clubs, maybe at home watching, Pornhub, watching, y'all might be at home getting your pornea on Friday and Saturday nights. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you guys. ACD made me think of it, and I thought he was going to say it, but he didn't. He did something different. Let me tell you guys, it's time for a story. Guys, if you have not watched American Gods, you should totally watch it. It is an amazing show. But let me get my anansi on, because it's time for a story. Yeah, we'll do it Sunday at 7:30. I'm gonna keep pushing for you guys to call in, because I know for a fact that you guys feel better when you call in and talk about this shit. You know how I know? Because I feel better when I talk to you guys about this shit. So I know if we keep an open channel to where everyone feels, really welcome and open to call in, it will be a great therapeutic thing for us to just call in and talk to each other, right? So, let's see. Hold on 1 second, guys. I think I went too far up. HCD says, I can be here Sunday for Wake Up Stories. Yes, we're going to be here Sunday. The Sunday show will be How Did You Wake Up? And of course, I'll start by telling my story, because I love telling stories. Well, this one's not so much as a story. It is kind of a story, but it's more of a question. Let me tell you guys what I used to do to get around having sex, and I bet you I wasn't the only one. So, my very first girlfriend at the Kingdom Hall, I would always go to different Kingdom Halls and and try to find the dopest girl there and try to spit my game at. That was my thing. I'm like I'm gonna go find if I'm gonna marry somebody, she's gonna be the dopest girl at the Kingdom Hall. And I did it like 3 times. I always pulled me a really dope Kingdom Hall sister. This sister, not sister, I think we were teenagers. We were like, I was probably like 14, 15. Great Dane is going to be at 7:30. My show is always at 7:30. So the first girlfriend I had, we were girlfriend and boyfriend, but it was almost like platonic boyfriend and girlfriend. We were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we would go out and hang out. And no. I don't think I said morning. I just said XJW Sundays. But the last XJW Sundays have been 7:30 p.m. because nobody, including me, wants to get up that damn early. I'm not going to the liquor store at 7:30 a.m. I mean, at 11 o'clock in the morning. So, actually, what happened with my first girlfriend, we were cool. I'd known her for a while, and then we ended up going out, hanging out. We went to the movies a couple times together with her mom, and then I would go over her house. And when I would go over her house, I would take my best friend. Me and my best friend had been best friends since we were like 6 or 7. We had been best friends for a long time. And he ended up getting a car before me. So me and him would just drive around all the time. We would go down to the mall. We would go play, Street Fighter. I'm a huge gamer, so we would go play Street Fighter. I was like the best Street Fighter player, one of the best Street Fighter players in Nashville, that and Mortal Kombat. I was actually on the news playing Mortal Kombat because I was so good. So we would always go play games. Well, I ended up getting, with this girl, and he would always give me a ride over her house, and we would all hang out together. So we ended up, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, but we never kissed. We only hugged. We never kissed at all. It was so weird. I would always want to, but she didn't want to, right? And so I remember I went to an assembly one time, and she was at home. She didn't go to this assembly. But I was in Kentucky at the assembly, and I gave her my hotel room number so we could call. So I called her from the hotel room, and I'm a little punk ass teenager, and she broke up with me. She's like, I want to break up. And I'm like, why? Why? I just want to break up. Whatever. All right. So we broke up. My little punk ass is, in the double beds with my parents in one bed, and I'm in the other bed. I'm in here crying. 14 years old, crying over some girl I ain't even touched the booty or kissed at all yet. Just crying. We get back to Nashville, and a few weeks later, my best friend approaches me. This is my best friend going on 10, 11 years at this point. He comes up to me and says, "You know what? I think I don't want to say the person's name. I don't want to say her name. So I think old girl likes me." I said, oh, really? I don't know. I don't think so. He said, would you mind if I talk to her? Now, of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, nigga, are you fucking kidding me? You supposed to be my you supposed to be my boy. Now I'm only 14 or 15, but I know what the damn bro code is at this point. So in my head, I'm thinking, no. But of course, I can't look like a hater. So I say, yeah, man, go ahead. I don't care. I don't think she like you that way. This literally what I said. I don't think she likes you that way, but yeah, go ahead, whatever. They end up together like in the next couple of days. I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker supposed to be my best friend was scheming on my girl, and my girl was scheming on his ass. All right, then. I'm leading up to something. So my dumb punk ass, let me tell you guys what I would literally do. I literally did this dumb shit. Now, I had been best friends with him, again, for like 10 years. We were inseparable. My dumb ass would literally hang out with him and my ex-girlfriend. We would all do shit together. We would literally go to the movies, and all three of us, I would ride with them to go to the movies and shit. I could, looking back on it, I'm thinking, you were such a punk ass motherfucker. And one day we got into it. We went to the movies, and they sat together. And so I sat like near them. I think I sat like a seat away or behind them or something. And he got mad. He said, man, why don't you go sit down there somewhere? Why you sit so close to us? Go and sit down there somewhere. And I looked at him, and it was the first time I ever thought, this motherfucker really just said that shit to me while he is sitting there with my girlfriend, basically. And so I just left the theater. I just walked home, because at that time the theater was close to where my parents' house was. So I just left and walked home. This nigga drove up. This nigga drove up to me. Man, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I just went ahead and went home. They eventually broke up. And then he said, I really shouldn't have done that. I really owe you an apology. I shouldn't have done that. And I said, yeah, you're right. You shouldn't have done that. We remained friends for a while. We remained friends for a long time after that. I stopped being his friend because my house burned down. And when I saw him after the house burned down and we had lost everything, and I literally lost everything, I saw him and I said, hey, what's up, man? And he said, what's going on? I said, well, my house burned down. And he said, yeah, I heard about that. How's everything going? Now, this nigga's still supposed to be my best friend. And I'm thinking, motherfucker, you heard the house burned down and I lost everything, and I'm just talking to you now? We're done. So at that point, I literally cut him off, and I never spoke to him, purposefully again. If I saw him out somewhere, I would speak, which I did see him somewhere one time. And he's like, hey, man, how you doing? I said, I'm good, man. How you doing? Good, man. I miss you. It would be good to see you. I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. That was the last time I ever seen him. I bring that story up because I found out he was doing the same thing I was doing, so as not to get in trouble with the organization. And what that thing was, I used to always grind on my girlfriend with all our clothes on. Like, I might take her shirt off so I could see her tits, but we would keep our like jeans on. And so we would we would be grinding with our jeans on. And I'm sitting here, grinding to the point of having an orgasm, and I got my messed up jeans, this big old damn spot in my jeans. And then we graduated from doing it with jeans on to just our underwear. They was like, oh shit, with your underwear, that shit feels amazing. So how HCD was doing what he was doing to avoid getting in trouble, we basically got almost butt naked except for our underwear and just grinded on each other. But we never went inside, just on the outside, just outside stimulation, until the motherfuckers accused me of doing shit. And I'm like, well, I'm already knocking on the door. I might as well just open the door and go on in. So that's eventually what happened. But I wonder how many people who are in this chat right now did the clothes on clothes grinding so as not to get in trouble with the organization. I know there's somebody out there. It's not just me. I know somebody else out there did that. Hold on, let me get some water real quick. Foxy Loxy says, "How old were you when your house burned?" Oh, this was as an adult. I don't know, probably 11, 12 years ago. 11 or 12 years ago, yeah. Everybody's silent now. I know somebody's like, oh yeah, I did. I think I did that too. I think I'm doing that now. Somebody's at the side. Yeah, I think I did that yesterday. Damn. All right, so this has been a really, really fun time. I've enjoyed you guys so much. This has been an amazingly fun show. So, what we'll do, Sunday's show will be, how did you wake up? That will be for our XJW Sunday show. That was an amazing topic. Thank you so much for that topic. That is going to be a super fun show. Super fun show. Super fun show. That will be Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Central Time. How did you wake up? How did you wake up? Great topic. Great topic. Ooh, I must have ran everybody away with that story. Willow B says, I'll call in Sunday for sure. Okay. We're going to hold you to that. We're going to hold you to that. HCD, thank you so much again for calling in. Uh-oh, we got a call. Who is this? Please don't be a troll. All right, you are on the K Fits My Life show. What is your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Keith. Good evening. This is XJW Survivor.
What's up, XJW Survivor? You finally called in. What's going on?
I know.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I got delayed doing chores, and then I got nervous, and I finally got the courage to call in.
Well, I'm glad you called in. Share with us what's going on. What's on your mind?
Well, with me, my fellowship kind of had a little bit that led up to it.
Mm-hmm.
My husband, who's still in,
mm-hmm.
and my ex-husband who's still in, and I married pretty young. I was 22
Mm-hmm.
and he was 25. And we were like I guess like the goody J-dubs who like did everything like by the book. We didn't, go on dates without chaperones. We waited till we got married, before we had sex, all that boring stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we were married for probably about 10 years
Okay.
without any major issues.
Okay.
And as most people kind of know, with any relationship, you get disillusioned a little bit with the other person. But this motherfucker decided to get disillusioned and have a little relationship with my sister-in-law.
What?
Who was also a witness. My brother's sister.
Wow.
That was rough because now the family was pretty much divided and we couldn't really get together for any, like family gatherings. Thankfully, we didn't go to the same congregation.
Okay.
Well, actually, you know what? That's wrong. We did go to the same congregation when it initially happened.
Okay.
So when they confessed to both my brother and to me and claimed that nothing like physically happened, it was just an emotional affair, which I think is total bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They went to the elders and confessed, and they got reproved publicly, but they got reproved both at the same meeting.
Oh.
So obviously everyone's going to know that something freaking happened between them. And
Wow.
that was really rough to kind of sit through and just know that everyone knows that
Right.
your husband and your sister-in-law. Ugh, yeah. It was really shitty. So fast forward, I tried to be a good little J-Dub wife and forgive and forget and move on. And I think about 2 to 3 years later, I'd realized there was no getting over that. That
Mm-hmm.
was too close to home.
Mm-hmm.
Too close to home. So, and I had tried to be honest with him and let him know that, if we really examine our marriage, it's not really going to go very far. And he agreed, but he didn't want to separate. He didn't want a divorce. He just said, well, new system's around the corner. We'll be fine. We just need to wait on Jehovah.
Mm-hmm.
I got tired of waiting.
Right.
I couldn't be in that relationship.
Because Jehovah is slow.
So what's that?
I said Jehovah is slow.
Oh my God, yes he is. Especially with matters like that. And then what sucks is also, I'm sure a lot of the ladies can, attest to this, that even if you do go to the elders and you do kind of, hope that they're like the counselors that you need for those tough situations, but they don't have any answers and they don't know how to deal with situations like that.
Right.
They have
Right.
Bible scriptures and those don't really, make that much of a difference. And they don't really take into consideration the actual emotions behind
Right.
people.
Right.
So, yeah, that was rough. So I figured the only way for me to, like, officially get out is to give him a reason to want to divorce me.
Uh-oh.
So I did it, Keith.
She said, let me go out here and find some dick. That'll do it. Dick will do it. Dick will do it. Dick will do it.
That is what I did. But you know what's funny? Even when that happened, and I confessed and told him what happened,
Mm-hmm.
even then he was, like, trying to make it work. And I was like, oh, this backfired. That's not what I was hoping was going to happen. But I think eventually with me just kind of being firm and really heartfelt and letting him know that it was over, then it was easier for him to kind of, all right, I'll file for divorce. But that didn't happen for a minute because there were a few elders that were calling me after I confessed to them. They still called me and were giving me the guilt trip for not wanting to accept him back since he was willing to make things work. So it was really messy to leave.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally was thinking, I'll just do this, be the sacrificial lamb, get the marriage done with, and then I'll just, go to meetings, get reinstated, and then I'll be back.
Mm-hmm.
But tomorrow's or whenever you're going to do the next show, that's a really good show that I'm looking forward to because I ended up waking up while I was disfellowshipped and never went back.
Wow. Okay, so you have to save that story for Sunday and call back in.
Okay, now that I did this and feel a little bit better about speaking over the radio or the YouTube,
Right.
I think I can do it.
It's not a big deal. So did they ask you any crazy questions when you were in the little room?
You know what? I was expecting it because my dad's an elder, and I have a feeling that he's kind of crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they didn't ask me anything like that. And after I woke up and started listening to like apostate YouTube videos,
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked to hear some of the stuff that they were asking, like, did he come inside you? If not, where did he ejaculate? And all this kind of crazy stuff that I was like, even if I was in, if they were to ask me stuff like that, there's no way I'd be telling them anything like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting, because I mean, I never thought I didn't share as much as a lot of people either, but I still, looking back, I'm still surprised at how much I did tell them. And I think it's just because I felt like I was supposed to.
Yeah, I think I offered up enough information that whatever they asked, I pretty much answered, but they didn't go that crazy into detail. It was basically like, when did it happen? How did it happen? Is it going to happen again? Are you going to keep seeing this person? And then based off of that, they had their little 5-minute meeting, which I knew I was going to get the fellowship. That was kind of the plan. I needed that to happen to be able to break free.
Right.
And yeah, sure enough, 5 minutes later, they came back, we've prayed to Jehovah, we've decided, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, thankfully I didn't have any crazy questions asked my way because I know a lot of people aren't that lucky.
Yeah. So I guess we'll ask you the crazy questions. So did he? I'm just kidding.
No, wait.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going there.
Crazy.
Well, thank you for having the courage to call in and share your story. That I know we all appreciate it, and I really do too. Now, don't chicken out because the next show, I know we want to hear that story. How you woke up, because I think everyone has a very compelling story about how they woke up.
I think a lot of us reluctantly woke up and then had to face with like, shit, now how do I deal with this? Like,
right.
do I keep going and hide this, or do I break out? So yeah, I'm looking forward to that show. Is it Sunday?
This Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Central. Yeah, Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Central.
Oh, okay. That sounds good then. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for calling.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hey, well, thank you for calling. I appreciate it, man. Have a good night.
All right. You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. Dirty Bird said, Keith with the question. Y'all was like, so how many times? I'm not going to go there. I really wanted to know, but I wasn't going to go there. But I really want to know. And I know you guys want to know too. I know everybody's like, but for real, how many times did y'all do it? Did he come inside you? Where did he come at? Did you like it? Was it good? I wasn't going to ask all that, even though I kind of wanted to know. Thank you for calling in, XJW Survivor. Thank you for calling in, everyone who has called in tonight. It's been a great show. I didn't even think we were going to get any more calls, but we got one more. Now, okay, so we have a few minutes before it's been 3 hours since we've been on this show, guys. This is another 3-hour show. These shows are starting to get longer and longer. But I always enjoy it. It's so much fun to talk with you guys. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and get ready for the Sunday show because I think everybody's getting winding down. I know I am. It's 10:30. I'm going to go out here and make a little bit more money and then wrap it up for the night and get ready to start again tomorrow. I have some things I need to actually choreograph for the weekend too, so I need to get some choreography done. XJW Survivor says, Dirty Bird, I'm telling you, this sister-in-law moved to New York, but the ex is now with a young little elder's daughter that's 15 years younger than him. Damn. Alrighty. Well, thank you for calling, XJW Survivor. I know that took a lot, and we all appreciate it. So, guys, be prepared to call in Sunday. And let's share how we all woke up. I know you guys probably know my story, but I will share it again. Just so I can get the ball rolling, because I'm always the one that starts with the stories. So I'll start with that story. And we will go from there. All right? So, guys, as usual, thank you so much for calling in, for being in the chat, for listening to me and my stories. HCD, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your story. I'm sure that helped a lot of people. I know it helped me, so I know it helped a lot of people, and that's very brave. And guys, if we all can, I can't imagine. I'm just going to say this before I sign off. And you guys know about my issues with my ex-wife and all of that stuff. But, you know, when she tried to commit suicide and I saved her life, as much disdain as I have for her for doing what she's done and separating from me from my family and all that stuff, I still know that seeing her pass away would be one of the most painful things ever, because of course she is the mother of my daughter, and I will always love her even if I'm angry with her. So I can only imagine what HCD is going through. And like I said, when we were talking, we all could hear in his voice, yes, he still cared for this woman, and this is probably a very, very difficult time for him. So whatever you guys do to send positive energy to someone, whether it's pray, whether it's just meditate, whether it's just send positive vibes to someone, guys, if we could, all of us who are in this room and heard this man's story, if we all could send this man as much positive energy as we can today to try to help him on his journey and deal with the things that he is dealing with, I'm sure he would appreciate it. HCD, you are in my thoughts and prayers, brother, and we want you to stay strong. We want you to keep pushing forward. We want you to keep coming into this chat and cracking us up with your amazing sense of humor. But guys, please send as much positive energy and prayers as you can to HCD. We all love you, bro. We all love to see you in the chat, so you are in all of our thoughts and prayers, all right? Thank you again for sharing your story. Thanks everybody who called in tonight, and I will see you all Sunday, 7:30 p.m. We will talk about how we all woke up. Yeah? So guys, thanks so much. Thanks, my lifers. Go out there, live your life. I'm living my life. So let's go live our lives to the fullest. All right? I will see you all on Sunday. Get out there, have some fun this weekend. Watch some pornea, do some pornea, be some pornea, have some pornea, and I will see you Sunday, all right? Love you guys. Thank you so much. Peace.